He's been lights out and a bright spot for the Washington Nationals.
Swing and a miss. He struck him out on a high fastball. What an escape by Josiah Gray.
He's getting swing and miss in the zone.
Swing and a miss. Josiah Gray.
The great equalizer has become that cutter.
Just giving them a pitch they have to respect.
Swing and a miss. He struck him out with the cutter.
Cutter.
Got him. Josiah Gray elevates.
Filthy. His best pitch of the night.
Swing and a miss. He struck him out. That's number 10.
Josiah Gray, he was brilliant.
That's Josiah Gray. Just saw him there. It's nice to have a montage of yourself, isn't it? Look good, didn't it?
That made me feel good.
We can get you one so you can look at it on your phone when you're just walking
good.
around everything. Josiah Gray with his 159 innings this year for the Nationals, 3.91 ERA, big turnaround this year, well above league average.
Absolutely.
Congratulations on the success.
Thank you. It was a good year for us, and I had a lot of fun with it.
Yeah, you said us. Your team seemed the impression we had of the Nationals early and what we had late seemed to be very different.
Yeah, I think we went out there early and we showed we could just play good ball. We were putting together a lot more at bats. Our pitchers were going deeper in the game. And, in August, we went on the stretch where, we were thinking about playoffs and what we could do. But, we're really positive and really looking forward to next year.
You turned things around. You're very different. What led to your specific success then? Because that was a big turnaround for you last year.
Absolutely. It first starts with, pitch usage. So wanting to lean on my better pitches, knowing those are my slider and my curveball.
How do you know that? Is that you're doing that? Is it baseball ops? Who's doing that?
Yeah, it was both. It was baseball ops. It was myself. It was, just understanding that the success I had with those pitches, it was because I was throwing them. So how do I highlight them more, but also, keep them effective? And then introducing a cutter, giving the lefties a weapon they had to respect on the inside part of the plate with good velocity. And, getting off the barrel.
You're developing a new pitch, right? So that's like your reverse engineering. You're an engineer out there, really.
Exactly.
Because it's not just to go, I think I'll throw this pitch that does this or this, right? Which is not easy. Take a look at the StatCast numbers. We've got this up there, StatCast powered by Google Cloud. Basically, far fewer fastballs going from last year to this year. Far fewer fastballs, and now your slider is your most used pitch. But you tell us, and you also added things. All right, so we got cutter now at 17.8%. Sweeper goes from nothing to 5.5. The controversial sweeper. Don't tell Al Leiter, don't tell John Smoltz, they don't want to hear it. But anyway, you throw a pitch that looks like that. Tell me about how did this happen this way? What did you find?
So I think the first thing you see is a lot more even splits of every pitch.
Yeah, okay.
Every pitch kind of had a point in my repertoire to how I was going to use it.
Right.
So in 2022, I was a 3-pitch guy. Hitters were kind of setting up for that, and they acted as if, they knew it was going to come. So then this year, introducing a cutter, introducing, a more breaking ball oriented approach, was able to, have the fastball usage play up a little bit more, and it was a lot more effective this year.
It's funny because I see a lot of pitchers doing the opposite. I don't know what's best, but they'll have pitches and they're like, stop throwing 6 or 7. Concentrate on what you throw better, but you spread it out a little bit, right? So are your pitches, your secondary pitches better then, or why is that?
So it was more so the secondary pitches would just play up. So I've used them earlier in counts, and then the fastballs would act as if secondary pitches because, you have to establish the fastball. You have to establish, up, down, in, out. But now how do I elevate the usage of those pitches to where they're not ineffective, they're more effective because I'm just throwing them a little bit less.
Right. Give me your overall take. We did a whole thing on just before at the top of the show, Merrill Kelly, third time through. There normally is a punishment. Before we get to your numbers, what is your general philosophy on third time through the order facing a lineup?
I think it just depends on the game. It depends on how the hitters are seeing you. So, if the first 2 at-bats, let's say you're getting out of the at-bats with a changeup and a slider, how do you set up those 2 pitches knowing they've had success? Do you start the at-bat with a changeup and then set up the slider late? Do you start it with a slider and then know that maybe he'll chase the changeup later in the at-bat? You have to understand, how the hitter's thinking, look at their numbers, what their chase rate is, their whiff rate, and then basically build a plan off of that.
And just even remember what you did the first time out, or did he pop up the first pitch, right? And that sort of thing. Take a look. I think you may have answered the question on this, that you have such a deep repertoire because we looked up your numbers third time through again. Merrill Kelly goes from a guy shutting guys down, right? They're slugging 300, and then suddenly third time through they're slugging 460. Your slugging's about the same. On base goes down. Yeah. So what is the answer?
I think for me, third time through this year, I was able to. I know I was in a better spot. I'm in the 6th, 7th inning. So I know I'm pitching a better ball game, first of all. So I know my confidence is at an all-time high. And then just leaning, like I said, on your pitches. You got to understand what you do well in those moments. Let's say you get in a tight spot against, a hitter like Bryson Stott or, a Ketel Marte, you have to understand, okay, they might damage this pitch or that pitch, but what do you do well to get out of that at bat? Because they're itching to get a run across and, start something for their guys. So just understanding.
They've been tracking you is the main thing. So it's different. Maybe if you have all those pitches, they can't quite catch up and track.
Exactly. We both have the iPads in the dugouts. So they're looking at, okay, he's throwing this, he's starting my at-bats with this, he's ending with this. So it's like that cat and mouse game.
Right. Interesting. Well, that's a sign of an ace. Your third time through, you get the good job. You do play in the NL East. You face the Phillies a lot. Give me your impressions of them, especially after what we saw these last couple of games.
I think we see it evidently. What they've been doing this whole playoffs is they're not missing anything in their zones. Kevin Long is one of the best hitting coaches out there, and he's clearly showing that, their guys have a zone where they're going to swing, and they have a zone where they're not going to swing. So that's why they're taking their walks, but also they're doing their damage on the pitches in the zone.
Right.
So you have guys like Trey Turner, he swings and misses, loses the bat, but the next pitch, he isn't phased and takes it deep. So
they're sitting on pitches, you said? Or what are they doing
I wouldn't say they're
exactly?
sitting on pitches. It's more so just like zones. So they're understanding, this is a fastball in the middle of the plate. I want to put my A swing on it. This is, I think Merrill Kelly throws a slider and a curveball. Slider's going to start here. It might run off the plate. So you need to see it a little closer to you for it to be, in a hittable spot. So I think they have their go zones, and they have their zones where they're not even going to, bite at a pitch.
Interesting. In a split second. They're different. It's interesting. Down the stretch, like only the Braves were scoring more runs, but they're not like the number one offense. They certainly sometimes look like a number one offense, though, right?
Yeah, so I think a lot of the times this year, they got so hot against us, it seemed like we were, the D-backs that they couldn't miss a barrel. So they get hot and they stay hot. And right now, they're firing on all cylinders, and it's going to be interesting to see what they do tomorrow and the rest of this series.
All right, Josiah, best of luck, man. Thank you so much. Thanks for coming in. Josiah Gray, Washington Nationals. Great to have you here on the show.